everybody, welcome back to the Political Living Room. I am Karen, this is my living room, and thanks for joining me for some political chat. Today we've got coffee, and listen, I put chocolate milk in my coffee. Yes, I do. I do that. Do not at me. Or if you want to at me, go right ahead. Chocolate milk in the coffee. It is life. So what do we got here? Well, we're going to be talking about Mitch McConnell today. And I will tell you this. I don't like Mitch McConnell. I don't like Mitch McConnell for a whole bunch of reasons. And one of the reasons is because he proudly and with impunity blocked just about everything Obama tried to do. So let's just take a look at this video here. And this comes to us courtesy of Huffington Post. Here we go. Let's check it out. McConnell talked about the GOP's accomplishments and to boast about how he blocked former President Barack Obama's federal justice.
I was shocked that former President Obama left so many vacancies and didn't try to fill those positions.
I'll tell you why. I was in charge of of what we did the last 2 years of the Obama administration.
I will give you full credit for that.
It was not just Obama's federal judge nominees that McConnell obstructed. He successfully prevented Obama's Supreme Court pick Merrick Garland from even
I think it's safe to say there will not be hearings or votes. I think it is also safe to say the next president, whoever that may be, is going to be the person who chooses the next Supreme Court justice.
The Senate has confirmed 50 of Trump's judges to federal appellate courts. All right. Now, you could argue that that is simply political gamesmanship, and that's how it goes. People do these things. And you wouldn't be wrong, but I don't have to like it. I can dislike Mitch McConnell for that. The other reason I can't stand him is because of his continual efforts to either eviscerate or repeal the Affordable Care Act. Now, this is a personal one. A couple of years ago, my brother-in-law was diagnosed with prostate cancer. It was about to metastasize. It was caught just in time. My brother-in-law is a stagehand and a musician. Needless to say, he is not rolling in dough. If it were not for the Affordable Care Act, I would probably be talking about my brother-in-law's funeral and how he died young from prostate cancer. But because of the Affordable Care Act, he could afford to have surgery, go through, I think it was 1 round of chemo, and now he's fine, he's cancer-free. And no one's bankrupt. They didn't have to sell the house. They didn't have to take out a whole bunch of loans. Why? Because of the Affordable Care Act. Also, the Affordable Care Act provided me with fibroid care. I had some big ass, we need to call in the specialist because we ain't never seen nothing like this before, fibroids. And I was fortunate enough to find an interventional radiologist who would perform a uterine fibroid embolization, and it was all covered. Now, I could say praise Jesus, but I'm really just going to say thank you, Obama. So I can breathe. I can bend over. I don't look pregnant anymore. I no longer have out of control periods that make me anemic. So there's that. But McConnell wanted to put the kibosh on all of that. So this man was willing to allow the quality of Americans' lives to degrade from medical conditions that were treatable because he hated the Affordable Care Act. So I don't like Mitch McConnell. I find him distasteful. I also think he's ugly. He looks like inside of a turtle's butt. However, as much as I might dislike McConnell, he experienced an incident today that I think is really quite upsetting. And so we are going to take a look at that, and we're going to talk about what that is. Now, however much I can't stand politicians, what happened to McConnell today is disturbing on a human level. It's the kind of thing where I don't want to see anybody go through this. So let me make sure you guys have got it. Do you have it? You got it? All righty. Let's take a look. Here we go.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Penny.
So there's that. That looked like some kind of seizure to me. And hold on, let's just take a look at this one more time here. Hold on for a second. And what I want you to notice is how his eyes are fixed, and he doesn't appear to be looking at anything. At this point, you can see that he's focused, or relatively focused. And then we go to lights on, nobody home.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Penny.
okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
Okay.
What?
Running for re-election.
Hold on for 1 second. We're just going to stop that right there. Okay. So I find that very sad. I find it very, very sad to see. And like I said, as much as I don't like the guy, I don't like seeing that. I think it is something called an absence seizure. Let's just take a look for a moment at what an absence seizure is. I've never seen them in adults. When I worked in the early intervention pre-K program, where I was working with children who are autistic and have other developmental disabilities, you would see them not frequently, but they weren't rare, where you were doing any kind of musical activity with the child all of a sudden will look away, and it's almost like you can see whatever is going on inside them just power down, and then it powers back up. It is something that is hard to watch. Particularly, it's hard. It's just hard to see. Okay, so what is an absence seizure? Okay, what do absence seizures look like in adults? And this is from the Google, so if you want to Google it, you can do that at your leisure. It says, observers may mistake the symptoms for simple daydreaming or not paying attention. These seizures are the most common. The person suddenly stops all activity. It may look like he or she is staring off into space or just has a blank look. And that's what we saw from McConnell. So now, what is that a symptom of? It is not necessarily a stroke symptom. Here, let's go on. And again, I have the most basic understanding of what these things are. So do not quote me. I am not a doctor. I am just telling you what I found on the Google. It says, oops, hold on for 1 second. It says, absence seizures are a type of epilepsy, a condition that causes seizures. Seizures are caused by abnormal brain activity. These mixed messages confuse your brain and cause a seizure. So, and I read a tiny itty bitty bit that absence seizures can be a dementia symptom. They can be, not necessarily. And it has something to do with the way the brain synthesizes certain proteins that control awareness and movement. So, what are we looking at here? Does McConnell have epilepsy? Possibly. Has McConnell had a stroke? Possibly. Is it possible that he has had epilepsy the whole time and just has had it extremely well controlled and nobody said anything about it and he wasn't having seizures on camera and that he's just gotten so old at this point, I believe he's 81, that he can no longer conceal it or the seizures are out of control? Who knows? I don't know what's going on. Whatever is happening, however, I think it's time for this guy to step down. Clearly, he is unwell. He needs to pay attention to his health. This has got to be extremely upsetting for his family and for his colleagues, and he still holds power in the American government. My primary concern, I have to say, what can I say? I work with elderly people, and so when I see elderly people having a hard time, my heart goes out to them. I've also worked with a lot of people who have brain injuries and developmental disabilities and mental illness. So again, my heart goes out to them kind of automatically. And when I saw that, I was like, well, Mitch McConnell isn't this, miserable son of a bitch that wanted to take my health care away. He's some old dude who needs help. Somebody help him. But the American government right now is in the hands of people who are in various ways incapacitated and unfit for purpose. Our government is sclerotic. And I mean that with all of the implications of sclerotic. These people have got to go. I think there should be age limits. I don't think that you should be able to serve in United States government if you're over the age of 80. I say that as someone who comes from a family of very long livers. You know what? By the time you're 80, find something else to do. Jesus Christ, it's stressful. You have long hours. You're responsible for a lot of information. For the love of Christ, don't you want to sit back and just chill for a couple years? Now, there's a possibility that these individuals are so used to having power and so used to being in control that even when they are no longer able to serve in that capacity with anything approaching adequacy, they just won't give it up because the ego is still there. And yeah, there are the puppies outside. They got to scream at each other. Usually that doesn't happen until about 10 o'clock. So I don't know what's going on. But my point is, McConnell's old. Biden's old. A lot of people in government are old. They need to age out. And it's fine. It's absolutely fine. There are a bunch of spring chicken 70-year-olds and 60-year-olds, people in their mid-50s and early 50s, who could probably fuck things up with as much efficiency as these old bastards. So why don't we give them a chance? Let's get some young middle-aged people in there so they can screw everything the fuck up. Let's get a couple of the pink hairs in there. How about that? A couple of 20-something pink and blue hairs who are going to holler and scream about safe spaces. At least then, we wouldn't have to fight the gender wars kind of obliquely. We could fight them head on, which I would like. I would really enjoy that. But you have to tune into my other channel to hear me talk about that in more depth. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for coming by for some political chat. And I will see you in the next one. And until then, have an awesome day. I'll see you guys later.